Hey everybody, this is your favorite rock god and reality TV show star, Stuart Chaseman, and you are listening to me and Steve on Fascination Street podcast.
Yeah! AV in your ears, that's Ambush Ben giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world with my boy Steve, Fascination Street. You already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street.
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Stuart Chaseman. Stuart is a singer-songwriter out of the Chicago area, and also he is one of the cast members of the reality show on Netflix called Jewish Matchmaking. In this episode, we talk about Stuart's music. We talk a little bit about his last record, Next Exit Brigadoon, and some of the songs that were on that. And then we talk about his most recent album, which is called Secrets, Lies, and Alibis. We get into his songwriting process, and we also talk about whether or not he feels that songwriters are allowed the same creative leeway as, say, filmmakers or comedians. He does let me play my favorite song on the album, Little Girl Blue, so be sure to check that out. And then we get into his experiences on the new Netflix TV show, Jewish Matchmaking. We talk about the selection process, some of the behind-the-scenes filming processes, and maybe what's coming down the pipe for Season 2. Stuart holds regular live stream shows on Sundays on Facebook called Stuart's Super Sunday Sepia Tone Serenade. It was such a pleasure to talk to Stuart. He was very generous with his time and his spirit. And this is my conversation with singer, songwriter, and professional Jewish dater, Stuart Chaseman.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Stuart Chaseman. How you doing today, man?
Good, how are you, Steve?
I cannot complain. Stuart, what I like to do is I like to get to know the guests by finding out kind of where they got from where they were to where they are. Like, where were you born? Where did you grow up?
I live in the Chicagoland area. I grew up in the suburbs, for anyone familiar with it, in Glenview and Buffalo Grove. And I even went to college in the city. I love Chicago. And I've traveled all over, but I've stayed in the city my whole life.
Wow, you really do love Chicago.
I was in New York last month, and I think Chicago is everything New York has to offer, and you could get places within a half hour instead of an hour and a half.
No, that's true. Well, I don't know if they have everything. Will someone push you in front of a subway in Chicago?
We're still missing that. There's some people that do that, but we really need to up our game on that. We do have the theater these days, and we do have great delis.
Oh, well, that's kick-ass. Plus, you got that giant bean.
Yeah, and I never really understood the whole bean thing, but yeah, we do have a giant bean.
Shouldn't that be in Boston? Like, I'm confused.
I don't know. I don't get the whole bean thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stuart Chaseman is a singer, songwriter, and apparently now he is an internet sensation.
Good to know.
Yeah, indeed. Before we get to any of that, what's this about you being a tree hugger way back in the day? What's that even mean?
That was the name of a band. I didn't come up with the name Tree Huggers. Bandmate did. I don't know that I particularly ever really liked that name, but obviously you dug deep and came up with that. You did your homework.
A little bit.
Mazel tov.
Thanks.
I think a tree hugger is someone who's ridiculously liberal to a point of a fault. I'm not exactly sure. The name was kind of a joke.
Okay. Well, we are going to talk about some things. First, briefly, I want to talk about your 2010 record, Next Exit Brigadoon, from Gonzo Records.
Sure.
I've heard a few tracks on that, but I got to say my favorite one from that album is ODAT, One Day at a Time.
Yes.
Tell me your thoughts behind that song and how come I love it so much.
I don't know if that slogan is a part of your life.
It has been tangentially, I guess. It hasn't been a part of my life, but it's been a part of the life of people in my circle. How's that?
Many 24 hours ago, I made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood him. I'm not sure exactly what I was thinking at the time when I did that, because he hasn't been returning my calls up until very recently. That slogan is important to me. I think everybody needs some sort of tool to get through the knee-deep bullshit of day-to-day living in this crazy place. The particular tool that I use asks that I remain anonymous at the level of press, radio, TV, and films, so I will honor that. But that song does speak to a lot of people. It's a song that meant a lot to me as well. I think I did a pretty good job on it.
I think you did a fantastic job on it. Well done. I loved it.
I appreciate that.
Do you think that songwriters are allowed the same creative leeway as, say, a filmmaker or a comedian?
Absolutely not. And I've never really understood that. You know, someone like Oliver Stone can make a movie like Natural Born Killers, and people don't go home and say, oh, Oliver Stone is a killer, apparently. They understand it's a piece of art, that it's a story. I don't listen to rap music particularly, but I know there's different songs in there that portray violence and things like that, and people get offended by that. I don't understand why. You know, maybe it's because Oliver Stone could write and direct a movie and we see different characters portraying those parts in a way where music is more direct to the artist. We actually hear that person singing the song. But most of my songs are written directly from me about my experience, strength, and hope. I do have other songs that are just stories that I don't know exactly where they came from.
I heard you say once in an interview that your songs are so personal and from your own heart and perspective that someone can listen to any 3 songs and know more about you than maybe they could know about Mick Jagger from his library.
That's just the type of writer I am. I'm in no way faulting Mick Jagger. He's obviously extremely successful at what he does. The Rolling Stones are arguably the greatest band.
Well, we could argue, but I don't have that kind of time, Holmes.
They're definitely up there. But yeah, you could listen to their entire Rolling Stones catalog and not know much about Mick Jagger other than the fact maybe he likes to get laid. That's just not the type of writer I am. And I don't even know if it was ever any sort of conscious decision. When I'm motivated to write something, it's because something internally I'm either struggling with it or it's something that I need to get out. And music has always been a good outlet for me to do that. I guess you could say my writing style is kind of like taking my diary and putting 3 chords behind it. To me, I think there's a vulnerability in what I do, and that always speaks to me and other artists. And that's always what I've strived to do, to leave a piece of me in the art.
Well, your newest record, I keep wanting to say album. Can I still say album? Can we still do that in 2023?
I say record, I say album.
Your newest album is called Secrets, Lies, and Alibis. I bought it earlier today, and I've been listening to it all day.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Before I ask you what inspired this album, I just want to say that writing from your heart and your vulnerability does come through on just about every track on this record. So well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What inspired this album? What's behind it?
The album was written over the backdrop of my father dying and a long-term relationship ending. So there's a lot of loss in there. I've always found that more inspirational than happy good times. I don't know what that says about me. I don't know really how to write happy songs. I mean, maybe that day will come, but the inspiration was me dealing with grief. There's a lot of that in there, but it's not just me bitching. There's some degree of overcoming that grief. There's some degree of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. There's a lot of struggle, but there's also some element of me being a survivor and dealing with things that are really difficult, but hopefully in a healthy way.
I agree. I am going to butcher this line probably, but my favorite lyric on the whole album is it's something like, I'll look you up the next time I'm passing through hell.
Yeah, that's from, I'm able to swear in here, right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
There's a song, I fucking hate myself. I don't literally hate myself, but the statement is, I fucking hate myself for still loving you. Full line is, so long now, baby, it's time I bid you farewell. I'll look you up the next time I'm passing through hell.
That is a fucking great lyric, dude. Oh my God. When I heard that, I had to rewind and start it over again because I was like, that just caught me out of nowhere. Like, it got me right in the jugular. Remember when A1 steak sauce used to get you here and here? That's where it got me. It got me in the jugular. That was well
I don't know what that says about you, that's the line that spoke to you the most out of the whole album, but I'll take it. I mean, that song was written kind of tongue in cheek to some extent. It's like 50% real and 50% kind of a caricature of my feelings.
Sure.
I think a lot of the times when you have complicated relationships with people in your past, you have mixed feelings about it. And this was me just kind of attaching to just some of those feelings without presenting the full picture.
On a TV show that we'll talk about in a minute, I heard you say something to the effect of you're religious, but you're not like super religious. Is that a fair statement?
Actually, no, I'm not religious at all. I'm not super religious. I'm not slightly religious. I'm kind of vehemently opposed to religion, to be honest with you. I think I might have said something. Obviously, you're referring to the reality show that I'm on, Jewish Matchmaking. And I might have said something along the lines that I relate to Judaism on a cultural level, but not really religious. I'm kind of agnostic, to be honest with you.
Okay, that said, almost every track, and maybe every track, maybe I missed it, but almost every track that I could tell on this new album, Secrets, Lies, and Alibis, almost every track has some religious reference. I found that an odd juxtaposition to your statement.
I could agree with that. I'm kind of a complicated enigma that me and my therapist still haven't been able to figure out. So I wouldn't expect you to be able to figure it out by just listening to the records. I don't think there's a single reference to Judaism.
There's not that I could find.
So I don't know that there's any sort of religion. There's some spiritual element to the record. If you ask me to explain my spirituality, I'm still trying to come to terms with it. I believe that things happen for a reason. I believe there's some sort of balance in the universe. I know that very often isn't apparent, but I still like to believe there's some sort of balance in the universe. I like to believe good will overcome evil in the end. Martin Luther King said the moral arc of the universe is long, but bends towards justice. There's a lot of things in the world that happen that are all messed up, but I think in the end, things unfold the way they're supposed to unfold. And that's kind of where my spirituality comes from. I've heard religion is for people who are scared of hell, and spirituality is for people who have already been to hell.
Oh.
And I'm not religious, and I don't even know that I'm that spiritual, but if there's anything in there, it's probably not religion, it's more spirituality.
Gotcha. I think that your music, and I don't know how you would describe it, but I feel like your music is sort of a cross between Bruce Springsteen and another singer-songwriter named Douglas Miles Clark. I don't know if you were aware of him, but you should check him out because y'all tick a bunch of the same boxes in your songwriting and your production. It's great.
I'm going to have to find out who this guy is and send him a cease and desist letter because I was the only one out there. I'm unfamiliar with him, but I appreciate you pointing that out.
Oh, he's great. Douglas Miles Clark, one of his songs was the opening theme song to like my first 300 episodes or something like that. He's a super nice guy.
Maybe I could be the opening theme song for the next 300.
Check you out, buddy. Stuart, would it be okay if I played, for lack of a better term, the title track of Secrets, Lies, and Alibis, Little Girl Blue? Can I play that on this episode?
Absolutely.
Would you like to introduce it like you're a radio DJ?
I don't know if I could do it like a radio DJ. I've never been good at hitting the post or any of that. I could give you a little bit of background. First of all, I would hope this would be obvious, but apparently it's not. Little Girl Blue, she's not literally the color blue. She's blue as in sad, like you're feeling blue today. This song was written about someone that you're trying to have a relationship with, but her walls are up. She's so damaged that she can't let you in. You just can't get past that barrier. She can't be vulnerable. She can't be her real self. There is a little girl blue. I suspect she's heard the song. I don't know if she knows that it's her or not. There's probably been a few little girl blues in my life, but there was one in particular that inspired this song. I guess it's just kind of about my frustration and wanting to get closer to somebody and knowing that this person isn't capable of having a relationship the way I want to have one.
Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Little Girl Blue off of Stuart's newest album, Secrets, Lies, and Alibis. Enjoy.
already in my sights, but I lost aim. Don't know what's right or who to blame for the shape I'm in. There goes the beat that my heart skipped, faced with defeat, but I can't quit. Such self-deceit, I can't admit you win. There she goes, my little girl blue. There goes my little girl blue. There she goes, sweet little girl blue. Where is my little girl blue? You're running through my head as I lie awake. The words you said caused my heart to break. You'll see me dead before you see me shake this need for you. I try to run, but I can't let go. I fear that reason left me long ago. I'd fight the setting sun to try and show my heart is true. There she goes, my little girl blue. There goes my little girl blue. There she goes, sweet little girl blue. Where is my little girl blue? I try so hard, but you still don't see. We'd be so happy, just me and you. If you would only wear my ring, I'd do anything for my little girl blue. Secrets, lies, and alibis lead to the regret I see in your eyes. Someday I suspect you'll realize what you put me through. So I make my feast in the palm of your hand. What you want least is all I have planned. No, I should cease, but I demand to get my due. There she goes, sweet little girl blue. There goes my little girl blue. There she goes, sweet little girl blue. Where is my little girl blue?
I love that song. It's really, really beautiful. And I think that line, Secrets, Lies, and Alibis, I think that's a great name for this album. Those three words kind of encompass maybe not what you were feeling when you wrote it or performed it, but some of the feelings that, at least me as the listener, some of the emotions and the feelings that I'm going through while I'm listening to it. So I think that's a perfect title for this album.
My last two albums, the titles were taken the same way from a lyric in the song. The fuller context of that line is secrets, lies, and alibis lead to the regret I see in your eyes. And as soon as I wrote it, I thought I wrote something kind of cool, secrets, lies, and alibis. I don't know that as soon as I wrote that line, I said, this is going to be the title of the album, but something about that line resonated with me every time I heard it. And I thought it kind of summarized the album. It just has that confessional quality to it, secret, like I'm revealing something about myself. When I said it, secrets, lies, and alibis, I was referring to someone else's secrets, lies, and alibis, but I thought it worked as a title as well.
It does, and I love it. Streetwalkers, I do want to let you know that Stuart does hold regular live stream shows on Sundays called Stuart's Supper Sunday Sepia Tone Serenade.
Let me do the whole thing. Stuart Super Sunday Sepia Tone Serenade.
Thank you so much. And that's on Facebook, right?
Yeah, every Sunday I play a song. I rant a little bit. My puppies are my co-hosts. Right now, we are in the works of doing a longer show, and it might be a replacement for Stuart Super Sunday Sepia Tone Serenade, because I can't exactly imagine doing both, but you're going to have a competitor, Steve. I am going to do some sort of interview show called the Stuart Chaseman Show, where I rant a little bit, I play a song and talk to some people and post it on YouTube. That's currently in the works, so please Facebook request me and keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers. This month, the month of August, I have a special treat for you. This whole month is going to be themed. That's right. This month is Jewish matchmaking themed. So I'm bringing you exclusive interviews with 3 members of the cast and the actual matchmaker herself, all from the Netflix TV show Jewish Matchmaking. Season 1 is out and available now. My wife and I enjoyed it so much that I reached out to all these people to see if I could get them on, and boom! They were all gracious and generous enough with their time to hang out and let us get to know all of them a little bit better. So pay attention. Every Monday this month, the month of August 2023, each week will be a cast member from the show, finishing up with the actual Jewish matchmaker herself, the host of the show. I'm not going to give any names. You can check it out. You can look for it. You can just wait. But you will enjoy every single one of these interviews, I promise. And tell a friend.
Let's get back into it.
Stuart, now we're going to transition a little bit. We are going to talk about this television show on Netflix called Jewish Matchmaking. How did you come to be involved with this show?
Well, I'm Jewish and I needed a match, so it seemed like a pretty good fit for me. I saw an ad for it and I applied for it. And it was a much more exhaustive process than you probably would have guessed. I mean, I never would have thought that they would interview me one time and say, okay, you got it. From what I told, 2,000 people applied and 9 people were chosen as primary cast members. First time I interviewed was with some sort of, I think she was a casting director. And I think everybody has the experience of going on a job interview or something and knowing that they nailed it. I kind of knew that right away, but I knew she didn't have the authority to hire me. Her job was just to kind of rule people out and narrow down the pool. And then it was just interview after interview after interview. And then once I knew they wanted me, an Orthodox rabbi contacted me that I had to prove I was Jewish.
How do you do that?
I wasn't too sure. First, I took a picture of my parents' graves. I thought that would be enough, and it wasn't. I had to join Ancestry.com and trace my lineage.
Seriously?
Yeah, then I had to take some sort of personality test that took hours. Then I'm told they paid about $8,000 for me to take. And it's really awkward because someone has to watch you take it. And I don't know why. It's not exactly like you could cheat on it, but it was done through Zoom I had a paper and pencil doing the test, but someone just kind of sat like you are right now watching me take this.
That's so weird.
I'd have to be like, is it okay if I use the washroom? So that was kind of odd. And then after I got past that stage, the next thing was they wanted me to meet with their psychiatrist. They're just like, are you okay with that? And I'm just like, mine hasn't done anything for me in the past 20 years. Maybe yours will knock something back in place. I don't know. So I did that.
And now you're all better?
No, unfortunately not. I don't know what I would write about if I was all better. That's kind of a scary concept.
How long was this process of just the interview process?
Probably close to a year.
Whoa. So this was all like during COVID?
Yeah, it started towards the end of COVID, I think.
Wow.
Everything was done over Zoom. Then eventually they said they wanted me and sent a contract over, and it was the most egregious contract I've ever seen.
Egregious in what way? You get nothing, we get everything?
That, and the one part of it that really stands out was we reserve the right to present fictitious information about you that presents you in a false light.
They said that?
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say that it said that?
I don't know. I guess maybe we'll find out. So then I talked to Netflix Legal, and then I'm like, how could I sign this? I'm signing something that says you could lie about me. And they're like, no, it doesn't mean that. It just means you might not be happy with the edit. And I'm like, it says you could present fictitious information about me. That's called a lie. Finally, I just talked to the producer. I said, look, I'm going to sign this, but this is my life. For you, it's just another job. I'm trusting you to not say anything completely ridiculous about me. And for the most part, I wasn't particularly happy with the edit, but they didn't say I was in the KKK or something ridiculous that would haunt me the rest of my life.
Jesus.
I think everybody knows with reality TV, reality should be in quotes. Nothing scripted. They didn't tell me what to say, but I don't know that you could call those dates. There's like 15 people in the room with you. There's lights on you. You'll be in the middle of talking to the person, and then they'll say, okay, hold up 1 second. We need to change these reels. And then they'll say, okay, go back to when you were telling her about your vacation in Paris. And then you have to go back and say that again. My biggest qualm with the edit, I had numerous issues, but my biggest issue was they told me they would use like 20 or 30 seconds of me playing a song acoustic, which I was happy about. Picked up my guitar and I was trying to remember the key that I play the song, and I'm like, I would pay. I'm like, hold on a second. I moved the capo and I'm like, I would pay for. I'm like, wait, I'm still not happy. I moved the capo again. I'm like, okay, I got it. And then I played the song perfectly. And the 20 seconds they used was me messing around trying to figure out what key I wanted to play it in. And why would they do that? That seemed like such a cheap shot. Having said that, I in no way don't want to sound grateful for this opportunity. I'm incredibly grateful that I was given this opportunity. I have found it extremely rewarding. I'm someone who likes attention. I would do it all over again. So I don't want to in any way come across having a chip on my shoulder or anything like that.
Sure. In what ways do you find this experience rewarding?
One is I love attention. I'm an entertainer. I like being the center of attention. So it was right up my alley. It would have been great if I really met somebody. I did want that to happen. But at the end of the day, they're there to make a TV show. They're not there to help you to meet your future partner. If that happens, it's just a side benefit. I think anyone that creates art doesn't want to just do it in the privacy of their bedroom for their dogs. They want people to hear it.
This is going to be a bizarre question, and you may not know the answer. Hell, you may. I have no idea. When my wife and I were watching the show, we noticed that the host, Eliza Ben Shalom, You're the only person that she said, hey, take me to your closet. What was that all about?
I'm not sure. I have this character quirk that I always see the glass is half empty instead of half full. So when she says, we're going to get you a stylist and we're going to work on your fashion sense and all that, instead of hearing, oh, great, they're really going to try to help me out, I hear there's something wrong with the way you dress and this is a huge problem. The stylist actually told me off camera that I have great style and don't take anything personally that she says. I don't really know. I think it made good television. We held up the snakeskin pants and the leather pants. And I think the idea was to tone me down a little bit. And, that's fine.
My wife and I could not stop laughing. We were like, this is the weirdest thing. What is she doing? You may not have an answer to this. You may not want to answer this. But I got to ask, what the hell is going on with you and Ben Shapiro?
Oh, I don't know what that guy's deal is. For those of you who don't know, Ben Shapiro is a conservative pundit. He took a shot at me on his show. He said I was the most intolerant person on the planet, or that I'm just so completely intolerant. And this is coming from somebody who's just anti-gay and climate denier. He's referring to a scene on the show when Eliza asks me what I'm looking for in a partner. And I basically said, I want someone who has comparable values to me. I want someone that we share similar outlooks on the world. I don't know that that makes me intolerant. That just means that I'm looking for certain qualities in my partner. And I said, I wanted someone who's very open-minded, who's okay with things like gay marriage, who, I can't handle anything like racial or anything like that. I actually had the misfortune of dating a girl who pretended to be a liberal for 2 years. And then some dark side of her started coming out because she couldn't pretend anymore. And it was just so frustrating that I invested so much in this relationship. So I think that was part of the impetus behind me bringing that up. Ben Shapiro thought he was pointing out some sort of irony that I said that I need my partner to be very, very tolerant. But by saying that, I'm actually being intolerant, which I think is completely false equivalency. I mean, are we supposed to be tolerant of Nazis? I mean, does Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro is an Orthodox Jew. I don't think he would date someone who wasn't Jewish. Does that mean he's intolerant to people of other religions? Or does that mean he just wants to be with someone who shares his faith? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So he kind of went off on me, and his crew were saying, oh, how I'm so intolerant and all these things. And I posted a rebuttal to that, and I've just gotten all positive feedback. I got to be honest, I wasn't terribly familiar with Ben Shapiro prior to that. I'm just glad to have my name in front of people. I'm glad to have the platform. So thank you, Ben Shapiro. I would look forward to being on your show and discussing some of these things further. I'm flattered that he was inspired enough to be offended by me.
How did his comment come across your radar? Like, how did you find out that he didn't tag you, did he?
No. My publicist initially let me know. She texted me and says, Ben Shapiro's ranting about you. And I'm like, okay, who's Ben Shapiro? And then she sent me the clip, and I just sort of had some vague familiarity with him. I have trouble keeping my mouth shut. And if someone strikes out at me, I'm going to strike back. So I kind of outlined some of his views and thought it was ironic that he would think that I was intolerant. He thinks being gay is a mental illness. George Floyd, he thinks, died of a drug overdose. And Derek Chauvin's knee, I guess, on his neck, choking him, had very little to do with that. I guess we all had it wrong. And so I called, if he's going to call me out on things that I say, I'm going to do the same.
Gotcha. Has he responded to your response?
I haven't seen anything. I don't know. I'd love to be on his show. I'd love to engage with him in a dialogue, more direct back and forth. But no, I haven't heard back from him.
Gotcha. I just had to ask. It was just so out of left field. I was like, what the hell's happening here? Were you like, what? Were you shocked, surprised, flattered?
I was just like, what's this guy's deal? What's his problem? Was I surprised? I don't know. I think Ben Shapiro's just an instigator. I think there's people in the world who look to build bridges with each other, who look to find commonalities. And then there's people who just like to point their fingers and say everything they don't like about you. And Ben Shapiro is the latter.
Gotcha. Thank you for indulging me on that. I appreciate that, Stuart. Why do you think Stuart Chaseman resonates maybe with the audience more than some of the other folks from the show? Because by all accounts, everything I've heard, you were the golden boy of the show. You're the breakout.
So I'm told. I think people think I'm authentic, that I was myself. I have had some people write weird things like, oh, I really liked your character on Jewish Matchmaking. And I'm like, well, I'm not an actor. It's not a character.
Maybe they're just talking about your character, like your integrity.
Maybe. Maybe. I only know how to be myself. I don't know how to pretend to be anything other than myself. I think that takes a lot of work and is exhausting. I didn't have any game plan going into this other than maybe trying to direct some of the narrative towards my music. I didn't want to pretend to be anything other than myself. And I think that resonated with people. I think some of the other people maybe didn't come across as authentic. I think it was P.T. Barnum said something like, most important quality is sincerity. And if you could fake that, you got it made. I don't think I could fake that. That's pretty much who I am. If you meet me on the street, you're not going to meet someone completely different than that. I try to be a nice guy. I try to be very straightforward and honest. And I think that possibly came through. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the best person to ask about this.
Okay, well, let me ask you another question about how you have been received. I've seen a lot of comparisons online and in social media between you and
Ronald Reagan.
Stop it. You know what I'm going to say. Who is it?
There's been a few, but you're going to say Pete Davidson.
Yes. Why do you suppose that is?
Probably because we both have a romantic history with Kim Kardashian, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure that's it.
I'm very aware of Pete Davidson's celebrity, but I have to be honest. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie with him or anything like that. I'm told we have a similar dry sense of humor. I just don't know a lot about Pete Davidson. And when people said that I was so similar to him, I think I was a bit reticent to do too much research on him. But now I'm going to have to look into Pete Davidson as well as that other musician that you brought up. Maybe I'm a composite character of the two.
That's hilarious.
But anyway, if Kim Kardashian is out there and she's looking for a different Pete Davidson facsimile, I'm certainly open to dating her.
Well, she's definitely a listener, so take him up on that, Kim.
Okay. I have been trying to reach her. I'm glad I finally found an outlet to do that.
Yeah, that's what I do is I make connections. I'm a better matchmaker than some of the other people. No, I'm just kidding. Tell me about how did your relationship with Eliza go? I don't mean a romantic relationship, obviously, for those listening who haven't seen the show. Eliza is the matchmaker in question on the show, Jewish Matchmaking. Tell me about how your interactions were with her.
They were limited, to be honest with you. The first time I met her was on camera. The girls that I was set up with were already flown in to meet me prior to me meeting with Eliza. I suspect she had something to do with picking them out. I just really don't know. I think her hands were tied a little bit as to who she could set me up with. She wasn't able to go into her own personal database and really act as a matchmaker. She would if I was an outside client. She could only use people who applied to be on the show for legal reasons. I just don't have a real in-depth relationship with her as a matchmaker. I feel like we work together on a television show more than a matchmaking experience. I hope she's okay with me. I flew up to New York to be part of a casting event, I don't know, a few weeks ago that she was doing. And somebody asked me a question about my stance on social justice and some of the things we touched on earlier. Someone asked me to elaborate on, and I don't know what I was thinking. I ended up going on a complete diatribe. And at some point, I said something about us not moving backwards and we can't reelect that orange-faced motherfucker.
You said this into a microphone?
I said it into a microphone in front of an audience of a couple hundred people, and I was immediately cut off, and I realized that I misspoke and that wasn't appropriate in that scenario. I have apologized to her since then, and she said she accepted my apology. She's kind of on tour now, and she's talking about dating, and I don't know exactly what she's doing, but she's going to different cities and doing as a lot of us on the cast are doing, trying to monetize this opportunity we were given. And she has an event literally walking distance from my house. And I haven't been invited to it yet. I'm certainly not going to buy a ticket to it. So I'm kind of waiting. I know the rabbi involved, so I'm kind of waiting to see if I'm going to be invited to this or they don't want me within 100 feet of it. So we'll see what happens.
When is it?
August 6th, I believe.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow. So you would go if you were invited?
Oh, yeah, sure. I would go. I just feel like they should reach out to me. That she lives in Israel and she's literally going to be like 2 blocks from my house and she knows it. So we'll see what happens.
I guess she does know. She's been there. She went to your closet.
She did go to my closet.
I guess she knows where you live.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers. Steve here. I'm proud to announce the newest and coolest sponsor of Fascination Street podcast, Bravago Hard Seltzer. Go bold. Grill a tomahawk steak just for you on a Tuesday. Run your sprinklers twice in a row. Wear 2 different socks to your sister's wedding. Play golf with 2 balls from the ladies' tee box. However you go bold, do it with Bravago Bold Seltzer, the newest and boldest hard seltzer out there, with flavors like Sweet Freak, Vanilla Orange Cream, Chill Out, Rainier Cherry, and Sucker Punch, Strawberry Lemon. These seltzers pack an intense flavor and 5.1% alcohol by volume, with between 110 and 120 calories each. Find a store or purchase online at drinkbravago.com. Must be 21 or older to purchase or consume. Please drink responsibly. Go bold.
Let's get back into it.
I don't know if you can answer this. Maybe you can answer at least from your perspective. Do you know if there's going to be a second season, maybe with you involved?
I cannot definitively answer that. It seems to me that there's probably going to be a second season, and I'm certainly open to being part of it. I would hope all the attention that I've gotten on social media has reached some of the decision makers who make that decision. I would certainly be open to being part of it, both for the opportunity to be part of the show again and possibly meeting the one. I'll just say I'd be disappointed if I wasn't part of it.
Gotcha. I know you went out on a couple of dates that were on camera, and if I understand correctly, they were kind of edited in the opposite order. Is that right?
That is, they showed it in the opposite order. Both dates were fine. Neither one was a match. The way they presented it on the show was one was a good match and one was a bad match. I don't know that that was really the case. I don't know that either of them were a bad match, and I don't think either of them were a great match. But they presented it in a way that they reversed the order because they wanted to make it seem like the bad match came first. So then they kept trying, and then I met the good match. I mean, like I said, nothing is scripted. The show's not a game show. It's not like The Bachelor where you're handing out roses. So it's not fake. I'm not going to say it's fake, but, you know, they take different liberties to make the narrative the way they want it. And yeah, they reversed the order. I went out with 2 women. One was named Hope. One was named Pamela. I mean, the date with Hope was fine. I said something about her possibly being too religious for me, and they honed in on that, and they presented some of the comments that I said about Hope that I didn't think we were a match. For Pamela, they focused on some of the things I said that we were a potential match. They didn't really show a 3-dimensional picture of everything I said. With Pamela, I said I definitely feel a connection, but I think it might be more of a friendship sort of thing, and they left out the friendship thing. And, you know, that's fine. They're there to make a television show. Yeah, you're correct. They reversed the order of the dates. There also was a 3rd date that never aired. There was quite a bit of footage that never aired. The 3rd date was with a dating coach. And I thought we had some comedy gold in there, but...
Wait, they set you up on a date with a dating coach?
But she was acting in her capacity as a dating coach. It wasn't a legitimate potential match. She was evaluating me. She gave me good marks, so that was good. But they never showed that. Also, I don't have any family. So they asked me to get my friends together, and we filmed some footage of me talking about my dating life, talking about some of the girls I've gone out with, and they didn't use any of that footage. But I mean, I think, when you go into these things that you're leaving control up to them, they get to choose what they use and what they don't use. There's not much you could do about that. I would have liked to have gotten more airtime. I was expecting to get more airtime, but I guess I got as much as anybody else.
Sure. I will say that by the time you were introduced, it was a bit late into the series, and I paused it and I looked to my wife and I said, we're getting new people now? Because, we watched Indian Matchmaking, and I don't remember them introducing new people that far into the run of the show, because by the time they introduced you, it was like, okay, so there's not going to be a resolution to any couples on the show. Like, what is happening right now?
I think the people that were introduced at the beginning of the show, they didn't follow through till the end of the show.
They didn't follow through with anybody.
And I have to be honest, and I feel like I'm confessing something. When the show came out, I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I just kind of got impatient, and I'm like, where am I in this thing? And I forwarded through the rest, and then I watched my episodes, and I've never gone back and watched those middle episodes. I would like to think, and maybe this is true, maybe this is not, I'd like to think they put me at the end because I was the most interesting and they wanted to leave a hook for season 2. I have no idea if that's the case or not.
That's what we're hoping.
Well, let them know at Netflix, please.
I'll tell them.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I'll call them tomorrow. After I get off the phone with Kim Kardashian to set you up, I'll call the big wigs over at Netflix.
I have a few other calls I need you to make for me. So
no, I don't work for you, bro.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Stuart, are you going to get any better at ping pong?
I really doubt it. I am just so inept when it comes to anything, even slightly athletic. I'm not even good at watching sports, to be honest with you. I'm in Chicago. I don't really care about the Cubs. I don't care about the Bears. I'm not particularly coordinated. And when we were talking about what kind of dates I was going to go on, I gave them all kinds of really cool ideas, like helicopter rides and things like that.
They're like, look, bro, we already spent $8,000 for you to take this test. We're not springing for a helicopter ride.
Exactly. I guess I'm grateful we didn't have to go bowling because I'm even a worse bowler than I am a ping pong player. But I think the idea was just to put us in a natural situation. I think just like with real life, when you meet someone, I don't know that the date you go on really matters. If the 2 people are right, you could be doing just about anything and you'll connect. I like the fact that on that particular date, they gave us some sort of focal point, whether it was ping pong, other than just my other date with Hope. We just kind of sat at a table and there was no activity involved. So I was grateful for the opportunity to play ping pong, and hopefully next time they'll figure out something I'm a little bit more gifted in.
Yeah.
I'll have to put that in the contract season 2.
There you go. Make them take you to a slam poetry reading.
Yeah, that would be more up my alley.
Stuart Chaseman. Oh my gosh. I can't stress this enough. Everybody, go check out his newest album, Secrets, Lies, and Alibis, on his website, which he will tell us in just a second where to go get that. It's a really, really a great album. I enjoy your songwriting. I hope you never stop. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media. And like I said, hit that website.
Sure. StuartChaseman.com, StuartChaseman.com. You could find me on Facebook. I'm definitely a Facebook guy more than Instagram or TikTok, but I am on those platforms as well. You could get my album on all the different streaming platforms like Spotify and Pandora. You could get it on Bandcamp, or you could just go to my website and find a link to it. Yeah, I'm active on social media. I like reaching out to people. Feel free to drop me an email, stu@stuartchaseman.com. I try to respond to everybody. I'm just really grateful that, it's just such a trip that I could go online and see people hypothesizing about me and having conversations about me that I'm not even involved in. So I definitely am appreciative of this 15 minutes of fame I've been given. And I'm also on something called Cameo. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
They have like B, C, and D level celebrities that will like send you a video message. And it was recommended that I do that. I'm like, I don't know who's going to pay me to do this. And people have been reaching out on Cameo and asking me to wish happy birthday to their moms and things like that, which I'm just so flattered that someone would want me to be part of their Mother's Day. Or so you can reach me on there. Just Google me. I'm all over the web right now. There's a lot of articles and things like that. I've just been so flattered and so appreciative of everything I read about me online. It's 99% positive.
Everything that you said in the last 30 seconds is why you resonate more with audiences than some of the other folks on the show. I cannot stress enough, everybody, Stuart does hold regular live stream shows on Sundays on Facebook called Stuart's Super Sunday Sepia Tone Serenade.
Say that 10 times fast.
I can barely say it once. Stuart, as we're going out, is there anything I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about that you specifically wanted to talk about today? Did I miss anything?
Well, what I'll say to you, and I was debating whether to say this off the air or on the air, but I think I'll say it on the air. I do a lot of podcasts. I do a lot of interviews. And this was the single best researched one that I've ever done. You clearly really listen to the music. You clearly put in some time and homework into getting your information together. And I'm really appreciative of that because I've done so many of these things where I could tell they're just kind of faking their way through it. And I appreciate the time you put into it. And I hope that comes through to your listeners.
I'm pretty sure it does because they all love me and they are all going to love you.
How could they not?
I appreciate that, Stuart. From time to time, a guest will say that to me. And usually I cut that part out, but I've been told lately to stop cutting that out. So I'm not going to cut that out.
Well, he did pay me $50 to say that, but I still mean it nonetheless.
Now that part I'm cutting out.
Okay, fair enough.
Not really. And with that, Stuart Chaseman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic songwriting and dating Jewish ladies schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
And that was awfully nice of you to purchase the album. I certainly would have given you a code to download it for free.
I like to support artists.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. And you even gave me a tip, which is always nice.
What? You're not supposed to know that. How dare you? You are welcome. It's well-deserved. I really, really like the album.
I appreciate that. I hope you're not telling all the boys that. Oh, Stuart, you have a great rest of your week, man. I appreciate you. And I meant when I said that you clearly put time and effort into that, and it is appreciated.
Well, I appreciate you for saying that, man. Have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. Pleasure talking to you.
100% my pleasure. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin.
Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jax Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend, subscribe, and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.